Okay.
Don't let me stop you.
All right. I call this meeting to order. It's 6:30. Can the recording secretary give a call to the officers, please?
Sure, Willie Joe,
Here.
Ike,
Here.
Tony,
Here.
Paul,
Here.
Tom,
Here.
Glenn.
Here.
District 7 is vacant. Mark.
Here.
District 8 is vacant. 9 is vacant. We have quorum, Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Mr.
I'm just going to do an introduction here real quick.
Yeah,
We
that's
got
easy.
Bobby Command here. As Barbara is our recording secretary. Chris is our corporate counsel,
Deputy,
deputy. And we have Larry Brown
Correct.
and Lucas Mead.
Yeah.
Okay, they're from the planning department. Thank you for coming. And we have our camera person, but she's not here. Where is she? Carrie go.
Excuse me, Chris, what's your last name?
It's Schluter, it's spelled Schlueter. I have a business card here for it.
CHLE?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
I'm making it easier on you.
We can spell it back to it 5 times.
Okay, the minutes have been read and distributed to you. Are there any corrections?
Yeah, page 23.
Okay.
Where, from the, I don't know how to explain this. From the top coming down, the second big paragraph that Ryan Kohatsu, I believe that was me, not
Oh, okay.
Ryan, speaking there.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further corrections?
Just an editorial. I've been called many things in my life. But this thing about Yoshida, if you could correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further corrections or? Okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes? Or
Aye.
corrections to the minutes?
I
Any opposed? Okay. Let's see. Public testimony on agenda items? No public testimony. All right, we'll go to reports, special committee presentations. We have Larry Brown, who briefed the GMAC on public access, who they work with to identify, enforce, and maintain access and easements to public lands, and any suggestions that he may have to help GMAC better understand the process.
Why don't you come on up? You need to move your chair. Thanks.
Happy.
Good evening and thank you. As introduced, my name is Larry Brown. I'm a planner 5 with the county's planning department. This is 14. So for about 8 years now, I've been the primary person in the department responsible for public access, which has been primarily focused on shoreline public access, as implemented either through Chapter 34 of the Hawaii County Code or the CZM Act, which is under Chapter 205A of the Hawaii Revised Statutes. Public access in this county has, like I said, been primarily concentrated on shoreline areas. Whenever we get an application for a special management area use permit, minor permit, or any determination of exemption through an SMA assessment application, we typically look at the potential for public access to or along the shoreline over the property that is being proposed for some sort of development activity. And where appropriate, we will utilize the authority granted under Revised HRS 205A to require public access, either through a public access agreement or grant of easement document. Mountain accesses have been relatively few and far between because they're basically, the only power we have is under the county's Chapter 34. Chapter 34 is an ordinance, it's part of the Hawaii County Code that receives its authority under Chapter 46 of Hawaii Revised Statutes that said that the county shall enact an ordinance creating accesses where there's subdivision activity. In Chapter 34, it's where you have a lot, or a subdivision that's creating 6 lots or more, or where you have 6 or more multifamily residential units going onto a property. We have so little subdivision activity on properties that lead to mountain accesses in Hawaii County that this has only come up maybe 3 or 4 times in the last 10 years. We have secured one, we're working on another one right now. And these were in connection with subdivisions. There have been none, to my knowledge, ever with regards to the other trigger, which is a 6-unit or more multifamily development. These are much more frequent in the shoreline areas, as you probably could well understand. So Chapter 34 has come up several times for development activities in shoreline areas, but more often than not, our shoreline accesses are the result of the imposing of a requirement for public access under the special management permitting process and the authority granted under HRS 205A. All of this really, and admittedly, I'm not the attorney here, but my understanding of it is stems from HRS 115, which was the, as has been explained to me, the infamous unmandated mandate from the state legislature that the county shall acquire public accesses to and along the shorelines as well as into the mountain areas, which was all well and good, but it didn't come with any money to do that. So that's, to my knowledge, never really been utilized as the authority. I suppose it could be cited as the authority if we were to try to exercise the right of eminent domain to secure access over private property to a mountain area or to a shoreline area. And that, in a nutshell, is pretty much it. I'm sure you have questions.
Yeah, I have one question to that. So if a new subdivision is being built, then why isn't it incorporated at that point? I mean, I can see if there's a subdivision that's been there for a while, and then now people want access. But if something is an up-and-coming project,
Right.
is access looked as part of this agreement? I mean, because that's what we see in the mountain sections. I mean, I can go all along Hamakua and point out places that have, supposed to have access or easements that as part of stipulation with building a subdivision or whatever, and then the access has never happened.
If the trigger is they're proposing to do a subdivision. And that subdivision is, if you're taking one lot and you're making 6 lots or more out of that one, then the trigger kicks in. If you have a 50-acre parcel and you're adjacent to the Hilo Forest Reserve, for example, you're gonna subdivide it into 4 lots. Chapter 34 doesn't trigger.
6 or more.
It needs to be 6 lots or more.
Is that per tax map key unit you're talking about, or per parcel of land?
Yes, for all practical purposes, well, a parcel of land and a tax map key number,
Because
most of the time is the same thing. There's some rare exceptions to that, but
Well, when you buy, like when Humpler Sugar, for example, was parcel dot, and then you had numbers of different tax map keys along the way, from what I understand. And some are 20 acres and some are larger. But if you buy a large tract like that, you know, does that trigger any access issues at all?
Just purchasing the land, no.
You mentioned eminent domain. Is that applicable for access to the forest?
It's a tool that's in the county and the state and the federal government's toolbox that could be used. I've never seen it used for public access, with the exception of the one action that's ongoing right now at Popeye Cove, where the county's council last year approved the use of eminent domain to acquire public access over the old mill property down to the beach at Popeye Cove. But up until that time, if it's ever been used in this county for public access, it's used to me. It's primarily been used for things like road right-of-ways, things like that. Maybe on occasion it might have been for a floodway through private property, but usually we get those through easements.
What would make something so important as to trigger eminent domain activity?
Well, there has to be, I'll defer to the attorney on this because I'm not an expert on eminent domain, but basically there has to be a pretty significant public need to require it. Yeah, it has to.
I agree with that too. Eminent
Chris
domain.
Chris is speaking. Please remember, everybody, say your name before you speak. The secretary is over there.
This is Chris Schluter. I'd agree with that opinion. The eminent domain is reserved for the, instances where public interest is served over the common, individual goal of a person. It's very, in my experience, it's very, very unusual for that to occur. And there's a lot of litigations in different states, and I haven't seen it in Hawaii, but it makes big news in certain jurisdictions when the domain occurs.
20 feet of my lot is eminent domain.
You might have this is Larry again, but as an example, Lucas and I were talking about this earlier, is if you wanted to use eminent domains as the tool for acquiring public access, and the landowner challenges that, you might end up buying a piece of right-of-way that's only worth $10,000, but it probably cost you $200,000 to get it by the time you get done fighting the legal battles.
This is Mark. Hey Larry, question for you. Let me repeat some facts you gave me, right? I think you made the statement only 3 times in the last 10 years has this quote-unquote Chapter 34 been used to gain access, public access to the mountain. Is that a correct statement?
I would say approximately, yes.
Approximately, yeah.
I can name 2, there might have been another one, but I can't remember what it was.
So not very often, obviously, once every 3 years or so. Going forward, it's probably likely, let me ask this question. Have there been lots or acreage that have been divided 6 times or for 6 lots that the county has chosen not to get public access?
None that I'm aware of. I won't say that there haven't been, because we weren't really watching it as closely as we probably could have. But I really couldn't name an instance where it's happened.
Got it. All right. Let me ask you this. Is this quote-unquote Chapter 34 good enough to go forward in the future to ensure that when large landowners who border public property subdivide, that the public can get access after that subdivision? I mean, I guess my point is, we're going to see more of this, not less of this. No question about it. As ranch land or farmland or sugar land continues to be sold and subdivided, it's likely that it's gonna border some public land that's landlocked now. What is it that you would recommend for us to do to ensure that when someone comes in to the planning department and says, I want to subdivide, that we get public access? Is what's on the books good enough?
The short answer to that question, in my opinion, humble may it be, is yes and no. Chapter 34 is adequate up to a certain point, but you've opened the door for me to get on my bandwagon. Bobby knows what's coming. Is that what we lack in Hawaii County, and I think it's been a serious lackings in both shoreline and mountain accesses, is a lack of a public access plan or a program for this county. It's been hit and miss, sporadic, inconsistent. We can be very aggressive about acquiring accesses under one administration and very lax about it under another, and not necessarily due to whoever happens to be mayor at a given point in time or who might be on the council at a given point in time, but just by prevailing attitudes within the bureaucracy itself, given the political climate and the economy. That if we don't have a comprehensive plan that lays out specific criteria and standards for public access, whether you're heading for the Malka regions or Mackay regions, then it's up to whoever's at our level, Luke and myself, to ensure that there's some consistency in the application of the laws that are on the books. Because if we don't see it and we don't push it, it's very easily overlooked by people who have other primary responsibilities, whether in the planning department or elsewhere in the administration. We have different planners who are responsible for subdivisions. They should be looking at Chapter 34. They should be looking at HRS 205A. But understandably, to a certain extent, I'm not excusing them, but they have so much detail they really need to be looking at underneath the zoning code and the subdivision code that oftentimes things like Chapter 34 kind of get overlooked. And it's easy to do. When I first started working on subdivisions back in 2003, and for the short period of time that I did do it, Chapter 34 was like in the bottom. In fact, I was doing it for 6 months before I even realized it was there. And I don't have an answer to that or an explanation on how to deal with it, but the lack of having a comprehensive program to guide the acquisition, development, and management of public accesses in this county is chaos.
So let me ask you this, Larry. Who would be accountable for putting such a plan together?
Well, it's up to the planning director and or the mayor and or the council. All these people have to get behind this thing. This is where organizations such as your commission could lend support to doing that kind of thing. Our community development plan action committees, many of which, particularly the one in North Kahala comes in mind, that have a very proactive public access, community-based group, need to make this a priority for the county. Some of us in the planning department have been crying this song for a while now. Others that were in the department and are no longer there were crying it before me. But it needs to become a priority, and it's been really tough to do, especially in the last 7 or 8 years when we went through this economic downturn. There just wasn't the money there it's going to take maybe hiring a consultant and dedicating staff to really getting in there and putting something together that works. A plan was started back in the late 70s. They got a draft done. I wasn't here then, but for whatever reason, that draft plan, when it hit the adoption phase, died. It didn't go anywhere. It was a good start. I've looked at it and I it needs to be seriously updated and be detailed out to a greater degree than it was originally produced, but it was a beginning.
Larry, I have a
Yeah.
question for you.
Tom, say it.
I'm sorry?
Say your name.
Oh, Tom Lodge, with a question for Larry. Is there, we're talking about mechanism through subdivision, six lots or more. Is there anything, like if you sell a tract of land or a small ranch or whatever, where you have like, 2,500 acres or 1,000 acres or more, is there any mechanism to have access through a contiguous, not 6 lots, but just one piece of property, agricultural land or whatever?
Well, we can always go to an individual property owner and try to negotiate either an easement or an outright purchase, fee simple purchase, like a right-of-way. We can always do that. And the funding that's provided through the PONC, Public Access Open Space Commission, could be utilized for that. But somebody needs to take the initiative to identify and get a particular alignment, if you will, on their list. So you need to submit an application and apply for it that way.
So I have a question, Ike, Dwayne Yoshina. So unless there's a subdivision application, you guys don't play?
We have no authority, we have no power to require it.
So, but then you're saying that there should be a comprehensive program?
Yes.
Where would that be, in the general plan?
No, I would think that a comprehensive program would be something that would be adopted as it could be a resolution. It might be better if it were adopted by ordinance so that it had more implementation authority. I think this is something that would need to be discussed between the county's attorneys and the planning director, and to figure out what is really the best vehicle to create, and implement that kind of a strategy. But you need something that provides guidance that says planners who are doing subdivisions shall do this. And
Yeah, I can
and there's the criteria. We have a little bit of it in chapter 34. There's a little bit there.
What if we wanted to do something that was more than just a subdivision? Like touching on what Tom talked about. Where would we do that?
I think we should still do that within the context of that plan or program. I think it needs to be a program. Because when you're talking about public access, it's more than just getting a right-of-way. If you don't talk about who's going to be responsible for improving it, maintaining it, signage, liability, parking, especially if you're going Malcolm and you want to access, and there's no place to park, we're going to have the guys line up on the easement, and then the guy that got in first can't get out because the guy,
So even PONC right now doesn't have any guidelines in this
No,
area?
PONC has their guidelines.
And can that be used then? For
No, because it's not comprehensive. They're just for acquisition. And all they do, they have the authority to identify, prioritize, and then the funds are there for the county to make the acquisition. PONC doesn't do anything except identify, evaluate, and prioritize. After that, it's up to the mayor and the council to decide what properties, they go out and negotiate with the landowners, and if they have an agreeable seller, then they usually will come to an agreement. If they don't have an agreeable seller, it usually just ends up being a nice try.
Okay. So this question now goes either to Bobby or Chris. What would it take for you guys to follow up on something like this?
First off, this is Chris Schluter. I'm in the litigation division, the corp counsel, and I want to preface everything by saying this, but I think a communal effort between the planning department and the council and the mayor's office, that sounds essential for this to get going, because I don't think one body alone will be able to, have this happen. But I would agree that there needs to be some type of fundamental, change in the way of doing business. This is I'm sorry, but that's,
So I just like to say this.
Go ahead.
I've been involved in one way or another with public access questions since the 1970s when I worked in Kohala. And it does not seem to me, while everyone talks about it, that anyone has really sat down and had the public will to do something about it. You know, it seems like we talk about it and we talk about it and we talk about it. And everybody knows what the problem is, but the administrative side and the legislative side cannot get together, it appears, to do something about this. And this is statewide. So how do we do something about this? I mean, you know, we come here and you tell us what you tell us, but how do we follow up on this?
I would say you make a recommendation to the mayor. It's pretty much that simple. You're saying that people talk about it, but it hasn't risen to the level of importance that the legislative body or the administrative side have gotten that message.
I'll jump in.
And there's, just let me, real quickly, we're talking about two different things here. Most, like Larry said, most of what we've been concentrating on has been shoreline access. We've done a fairly good job, I think, of that. I mean, nothing's perfect, but we're talking about a completely different animal when we're talking about forest access, mountain access, whatever you want to call it. There is a constitutional right for us to be able to access the shoreline. I'm not sure I'm not sure what the laws are in regards to forest reserves.
I think,
And let's take Kona, for instance. There's very little Malka lands that are in Afrikaans, almost none, as a matter of fact. It's either Bishop Estate or DOD or national parks, right? So, I mean, it depends on what you're looking at in terms of mountain access. I can't speak to Hamakua, right?
I think there's a disagreement about that, and I think it's a legal one. And as far as I can understand the situation about that, is no one really wants to deal with it, either at the state or the county level. But, you know, we're talking, if you talk about historical rights of traverse across lands for gathering and hunting.
Private property or public land?
You know, I guess they'll throw in that thing about across the public lands, and I understand that, but it seems to me that the letter of the law and the spirit of the law is quite clear in this area. And it seems to me that, you know, people speak about this all the time. Every time you have any kind of question about access to resources, it's there. And we want to parse this out, and we want to continue to carve it out thinner and thinner. And we don't, as government, it appears, want to deal with this. I think we have to.
I think
You know, Mark has said it, he's kind of touched upon it. It's going to get worse and worse. You have more and more people coming into us, limited land space. You cannot help but have these conflicts to arise. And so it seems to me, before you get there, we ought to do something.
And I think Larry had a very good point there about some sort of baseline study, something that spells out what is, what isn't, what we can do, what we can't do. I think it's a very good idea that we have like I said, a baseline that says that this is what's out there, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do, and then act from there. I think that's the perfect place to begin in this, is to get, like you said, a consultant or something, someone together to gather that information in a way that everybody can understand. Because I don't think we're all talking about the same thing here.
Okay, I can add to
Yes.
this.
You gotta
Okay, you know,
Name.
Kalani, like, Orico, the CDP is still under development. Our lands is all under bankruptcy, so the lands are for sale by the bank. How can a county acquire these kind of situations with the CDP planning to get them implemented into the access and right of ways for the forests and mountains? You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's not, you're not gonna deal with a landowner, you're dealing with a bank that actually is desperate to get whatever they can get right now, so there isn't any landowner.
The
You
bank
know what I
is-
mean? So, yeah, so how can a county just acquire, hey, this is the road we want to open? And tell a CDP that it's actually under a development plan, not even in existence yet. It's still in the format of planning, that you guys cannot jump in and say, hey, how you guys wants this? We need to keep this open before we sell it to a property owner that thinks he owns everything and he's gonna just wipe us out and just gate it all out. You guys, all I'm hearing is places that already are owned, out there not owned yet. You can purchase them, anybody can purchase them. So right now, what you were saying about park fees of a $200,000 road, it ain't gonna happen, because these guys right now just wants what they can get. The highest bidder gonna get. So how can a county jump in and say, hey, can we acquire these roads? Because they're gonna have to come to the planning.
And as it relates to that, I don't know if the Hamakua CDP has similar kind of parameters that they're working with. But I do know, having been to at least 2 or 3 of the meetings, that public access to the mountains and the ocean is a concern. Now, I don't know if they put it in as a major kind of interest point or focal point, but I do know that the meetings I went to, there was a lot of talk about public access. So, and I think Kona has the same thing. So it's all over the island. And so we're talking about the public will, the public wants this stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I was wondering, because he planning hired, Rod Whitmore to do the whole thing, why not do it now? Because the CDP is still on the processing plan. And get Ron to put that in.
Well,
And get the banks to say, okay, what would it require a county to say, have these roads?
And that's one way to do it, right? If you believe in private property rights, which I don't think we have any choice over, there's one of
But
3
that's-
ways.
That's what I mean.
We change our laws. There's chapter 34 that you were
But that's what I'm
talking
saying, it's not private
about.
property.
We do that.
It's,
It is private property.
But it's still private,
It is
even if it's
private
owned by the
property,
bank.
right?
It's still
So you-
private.
So you either change the law, chapter 34, you negotiate with the landowner, whomever that may be. I'm sure the banks don't want to negotiate. They just want to get it off their books. I mean, that's the,
They're just interim owners.
right. Or, and they're just holding a note, basically,
Yeah.
right? Or you condemn. There's 3 ways of doing it. Short of that,
So
you're
it would be,
trespassing.
so it
Banks
would,
don't wanna-
so we have to wait for a landowner and the county pays that kind of money where the public actually raise a rocket. That's what we say,
Well,
basically.
like I
Instead
said,
of acquire one road, the public will be on a cheaper route. We're gonna wait till a landowner comes in, real landowner comes in, buys the place, and the public cries out. And then the county taxpayers will have to go crazy, because what they go to acquire here will cost them here now, because nobody will actually wanna do the job because they don't wanna touch the whole situation. That's what we're looking at,
So
basically.
No,
the question I have.
No,
no.
serious. So like Ron trying to plan something, implement something.
He can make a recommendation.
Yeah.
Right, but if the bank doesn't want to deal with us, there's nothing we can do.
But, yeah, so I mean,
Private
but
property rights.
how can you say yeah or no when we never even try? You know, if I hear, oh yeah, maybe we can try and we can try to see if it's gonna happen. But to go with the assumption that, oh, they're gonna tell us no anyway, really it's kinda like just, why we here?
Yeah, so I have a
Basically,
question.
why we here?
Question, I,
Okay, would it be proper for us to ask you, Bobby, or ask Dwayne Canoa to go explore this?
You should make you should make a recommendation.
Yeah.
But that recommendation
And then
would go to
report
the-
back to us what the finding is.
Sure. That's entirely appropriate. That's what your purpose is here.
Then I
Part of
would,
their mandate.
I would,
Yeah, part
I
of your
would
mandate.
be so bold as to make that recommendation to the commission.
Are you making them?
and this recommendation is to the mayor, or is this recommendation to?
No, it'd be, you advise the mayor.
Yeah, okay. I got that down already.
And could one of you guys write that up so that it's in the proper form?
Well, just touching, this is Tony, just touching
Finish
bases
it.
with that, we tried already,
Yeah.
okay, and this was with, this is just a quick background, in 2012, a grant of easement to Karbiki section of the Hilo Forest Reserve was provided in favor of the county of Hawaii by Kaupakoea Farms LLC as a condition of its request to subdivide tax map key, blah, blah, into 6 parcels. So that's one outstanding 6 parcel area above
That
Pepikio.
one's done. That's power.
So there's an
We have
easement,
an easement over
there's a
that.
right of way there?
There's a right of way there. Unfortunately, it's
It's no
not
place-
particularly usable
It's
on the alignment that
I've
it
been
is.
there, I've surveyed the whole area.
Yeah.
And it's just, you have an easement through a property.
Basically through a stream.
That is, yeah.
Okay, but,
But, yeah, and we worked with Jordan Trujillo, if you remember, last year, we all met, and we all talked about that as one of the areas. And we made a request to the mayor, and then after Jordan, DLNR just gave up on that position too, apparently. And then- so there was already a request, Ike and I worked on this, and we submitted it, and from the county side, nothing happened.
but
And then after Jordan left, we just kind of let it go, because we figured, well,
So
we'll
what
try
was
again.
first to realign it?
no, we just asked for a survey of the,
Or to have it surveyed?
yeah, because the state was willing to go into
Right.
MOU or an MOA to actually do the road or the easement.
A little parking area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's no place, the road dead ends.
And-
Yeah.
And
And we
then
never,
there's a
we never
ledge
set out
on
the
one
mark.
side and private
But-
property
but
on one side.
What I'm asking for, that's an example, that's a specific. But what I would like to recommend is that we do this at a policy level to get this thing moving, so that we talk about public access countywide. That's what I'd like to see.
And for us here, this is Tony, the importance of why we're doing this is because people are condemning our game animals like the pigs, because they're coming into people's yards and farms and then destroying property. So now we're getting blanketed legislation this past year to get the feds involved, to eradicate feral pigs in the state of Hawaii. So as a commission like this, now we're faced with those kinds of things. And if we don't have access to these areas where people can go and hunt the animals there, then we have a problem, and there's no way we can address the problem. And the end game is get rid of all the animals. So there's no way we can properly manage it on a state level or county level or anything. So for us, that's kind of the driving force of some of this access to the mountains.
So who can we work with in order to put this into the language that we need to get? So that when it goes to the mayor or
I think
whoever,
the group here is.
so it's up to us
Yes.
to draft this?
To formulate a motion.
It-
It's not your responsibility to actually put together a study, but you have to move to do something. I hear Kalani talking about a specific place in Ka'u. I hear you talking about the whole island. I think you need to get together, or you need to talk about what motion you want in order for us to make a recommendation to the
What
mayor.
was it that you said?
Well,
That's what I wanna do.
You know, I face a similar situation because I'm the project manager for the Kona Community Development Plan. We have an action committee. And they come to the table, much like you gentlemen, and they've got ideas. But they don't have them written down. And then they want somebody else to write it down for them to send on to the mayor, to the planning director, to whomever. That is not possible for me to do that on all of their behalf. They really need to take a certain amount of responsibility to at least articulate, like Bobby was suggesting, put it into a motion. Your letter doesn't have to say a lot more than what that motion says. Then, the staff that you send it, or the county person that you send it to, it's up to them to take that thing and then move forward with that. If they have questions about the scope or the range of the question or the proposal that you're making in that motion, then they can come back to you and follow up with that. But to have staff to draft letters on your behalf to the mayor or the planning director or whatever, it can get to be an unreasonable request.
Okay. I don't wanna be unreasonable,
No, I know.
because Larry, I've sat on that side of the table, and I understand what you're saying. But I was trying to get that statement you made when you said, now you're going to get into trouble or something to that effect. At the very, and then you said a few things about a comprehensive something.
Public access program.
Yeah, that's what I would like to pursue.
I think that's all you need to ask, is for the director to explore the possibilities of moving forward with a comprehensive public access program for the county of Hawaii.
So moved.
That's the number one.
Wow. Don't let me put words in your mouth.
Yeah, that's what it was, just
Yeah.
the whole guideline of what is the process.
I just want to add real quick, to make sure the sunshine laws are followed, it sounds like you want to establish a permitted interaction group for investigation purposes, so,
We already have one.
okay. I just read here that the board can designate 2 or more board members to investigate matters concerning board business.
Yeah.
So,
We did that one a while back. That's how we came up with this one. We had a targeted areas of 3 or 4 places that we looked at in Hamakuo for access and everything.
But this statement is more, is
Yeah.
the higher level
Yeah.
statement. And so, that's what we want done. Now,
You have to understand that that request involves a dedication of financial resources on the part of the county, because this is gonna require hiring a consultant to do this. An extensive public outreach program.
well,
And dedication of staff
we can.
to manage a project, because it's gonna be a big project.
I understand that, but in order for us to move something forward, my understanding is that we need a resolution.
Well, it starts with you, Dwight. Dwight?
Huh?
Starts with you and your resolution.
Yeah, so I just moved, whatever you said.
So let me just try and,
Access.
I wrote something down here. It says, the motion is to advise the mayor to conduct a comprehensive public access program for the county of Hawaii.
Well, one thing I might add to that would be a uniform practice of a comprehensive plan. I believe that, for county properties is one thing, where we have, public land. But some of this also should incorporate, our relationship with the state as well, for getting access to some of these areas.
Public lands. But I'm sure you're also, if I heard Kalani correctly, you're talking about private property as well, right? Because a lot of your places that you want to get to are landlocked, right?
Well, it was, and it was bankrupt, and I think you guys kind of know the whole story to the whole situation.
Well, I would submit that if it's a comprehensive program, it's talking about public and
And
private
private.
property.
Yes,
Okay.
that's it.
I don't, allow one question here from Richard.
Yeah, Richard Sapanashi. I'm bringing this up, especially the Hamakuo, okay, now. Papaloa, Lapuahoe, that area, there used to be La Poiho Shoe Company, okay, we used to all have the land there, we used to hunt 80 pounds trail. In order to get up there, you gotta go to the Kingsville. So we used to get permission from the sugar company to use their road to get up there, and they give you a tag that you put in a car while you hunt, go up 80 pounds trail, and you leave it, you know. But now that area is all going to be sold, right, you know, and well, the county bought that, and now they're selling big parcels over there now, and you can, if you get 6, you know, subdivisions inside there, then they can make an access or whatever. But now this is a big parcel. If he buys that place, you won't give anybody access to go up to 80 pounds trail. And that's a well-used road, that hunting, you got no other access, you gotta go through the cane field. And a lot of the hunters go over there, it's one of the biggest right now, because the land all over there also. Who's gonna let you go up to 80 pounds trail and Papu's area?
Yes.
Well, see,
Nobody talk about the
and
country.
that's, no, I agree with you, and that's what's happening on our end.
Same, yeah.
Because a lot of them was plantation homes, and yeah, people been using it for years and years, and then we get their home, but there's not
Now
much
it's all shut
right
up.
of access road and what have you. But the fact is, now you have the chance to make it a secure road for public access. And yeah, it's under bankruptcy, yeah, okay, landowner, whoever the landowner, but you know, the county is paving that road to their property.
To
And,
it or through it?
huh,
To it or through it?
from Nalejo to Pahala, you guys maintaining the whole road. Before it was all gravel, now it's all paved.
If it's a county road, it's open to the public.
Yeah, so my whole thing is, what I'm skeptical is this, because they shut down that road as a landowner, and they put that gate here. Now all of a sudden, you do put in, like they wanted the 10-acre or 5-acre gentleman ag lots, that considers way more than 6 lots. Then you guys will come in and implement and say, hey, now we can open up this road. But they're gonna say, wow, that road was closed all these years, why do we have to open it now? Oh, because of the 6 lots or the 10 lots that we're doing ag lots. You know what I'm saying? I'm real skeptical on that whole 34 thing.
No, well, that's just it, the chapter 34, the 6-lot subdivision rule, if you wanna call it that, is only gonna kick in if they try to subdivide. If they don't try to subdivide, it doesn't come into play at all. So the only other alternatives you have, and I did leave one out earlier, is if, well, there's such a thing that's called prescriptive rights. And that's where the public has used the right-of-way over a given period of time, usually quite extensive period of time, with no restrictions, as I understand it. The attorneys are gonna have to be a little more specific on this than I can be. But that, as I understand it, requires a lot of documentation to be able to establish a right under prescriptive rights, a right of access. The other way, which I mentioned briefly earlier, is, well, that I did mention, was if we can purchase the right-of-way. Either the landowner agrees to grant an easement for a fee, or to sell the right-of-way, fee simple, to the government. Okay, that's another way. The last way, without having something like Chapter 34 or some other mechanism that we haven't created yet, kick in a situation where, like what you're talking about, where you have private property, we used to go there because we got permission from the plantation operator to go up there to go hunting or fishing, whatever, is if you can establish a public right-of-way under the Highways Act of 1892, where it's a public right-of-way that existed on the maps prior to 1892, then if we can prove that, then it's a public right-of-way no matter what the landowner says.
Plantation got too many roads.
But the plantations usually exercise a strategy that kept that from kicking in by closing that access off at least one day out of a year.
Well,
that protected their private property.
That's exactly what he's saying, for this prescriptive rights is fine, but if they close it now and for 10 years it's in bankrupt and all of a sudden nobody has access for 10 years, now this is like the reverse of a prescriptive right, because now they're gonna say, well, nobody used this road for 10 years.
Gotta get them.
So if they want to now, they wait 10, you know what I mean, they close it for 10 years and then somebody buys it now and then they're gonna develop and put in 50 lots or something there.
The prescriptive rights, you're gonna have to get.
Yeah,
More-
you know what I'm saying, right? That's
A better
what you're
opinion,
saying,
but I
right?
don't have
You're-
very much
You're shut out of it right now as it is. And then for what period of time are they gonna say, oh, well, nobody's used this for 10 years, so this chapter 34 doesn't count anymore?
No, chapter 34, that doesn't have anything to do with it. Prescriptive rights in chapter 34 are not related.
So it's being paved now, or it's paved?
If a road is being maintained and paid by the county, then
And
you
county,
can take your bottom dollar to the
so
bank,
how
that's a
can,
county
how
right
can
away.
county still, like, resurfacing old government roads then?
Because there are roads.
Because it's a
So the
county
coun-
road.
So it's accessible.
Yes,
Old government roads
Right.
needs to be open
If
to the
somebody's
public.
blocking that off,
Yeah,
that's a difference.
then all you have to do is complain to the Department of Public Works and they should do something about it. I've done that
There you
before.
go.
And if there,
you guys realize what you guys just said, right?
Yes.
In writing, in writing. We got that in writing, right, what these guys just said?
tell, there's two things here. If someone is blocking a public road,
No, this is.
let us know and we'll figure out how to
Old
get it
government
open.
roads.
Number one. Number two, if the county is paving a private road, that's a constitutional, state constitutional violation.
They
Now,
wouldn't be doing it. I don't know
Well-
any case where the county's paving private roads, except for where they,
no comment.
No, but it's.
No,
maybe they are, but
That's,
the ones I know.
I have to clear something up. So all old government roads is county owned.
no,
So some of them is owned, some
No.
of them is not.
all government roads are public roads. That doesn't mean they're a county road or a state road. There is a controversy, or not a controversy, a disagreement right now between the state and the county over what are called roads in limbo. Those
So the
are,
county-
they are public roads, hold on. They're public roads, but they're neither claimed by the state nor the county.
But the county is resurfacing those roads.
But if the county is resurfacing a road, it's our road.
Yeah, they
Like,
claim
yeah,
responsibility
Yeah,
for
and
it.
if it's a county crew doing it, then it's a county road. If it's a state crew doing it, then it's probably a state road. It is a state road,
We're getting into this roads in limbo.
yeah.
Excuse me,
And
Bob.
there are still some roads out there that neither the state nor the
Yeah.
county accept responsibility for.
But a road in limbo, if I understand both of you correctly, is a public road.
It's your road,
So
your
you would have-
road,
You would have access one way or the other.
yes, it's your road.
And just another bit of information here. The previous mayor got an agreement with the state, and they did a major study. And they had the money to do the study, and they marked these roads on the maps. So the county said it is a county road.
That's, it's under dispute right now.
Mark,
Here's
Mark,
the-
do you have anything to add to this,
Uh,
Mark?
Yeah, I
Let me,
was
let me just,
just,
let me add one more thing. Mark, just let me add one.
thought, are we doing a resolution?
Yeah, that's on the floor.
Well, why don't we either make a decision to do a resolution or move on,
Or a motion.
right?
A motion.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I made the motion, whatever he said.
The motion is to do a study on the feasibility of a comprehensive access plan or legal practice on access.
Okay, do I hear a
Wait,
second?
Rick, say that.
Seconded, Mark. So, okay, so the resolution's done. Bobby, do we need to get anybody from county council to help sponsor this resolution?
You need to vote.
I gotta vote on it.
But understand what you're doing here before you
Okay,
vote.
read it, Tom Lodge, can you read the motion again, please?
Okay, the motion was to do a study on the feasibility, right, of a comprehensive access plan for the county of public and private land.
Is that in keeping with what you were saying?
Pretty close. I suggested that you encourage the planning director to investigate the feasibility of moving forward with
Comprehensive.
doing a
Sure, sure.
comprehensive public access plan.
All right, so our motion is amended to ask the planning director to do a study.
You could ask the,
No, you
Director?
advise the mayor.
To advise the mayor.
yeah, yeah, that's right. If they're advisory to the
Yeah.
mayor, it should be to the mayor.
And I would suggest you don't just don't single out the planning director. It's the county, just say the county,
Not too single.
not to just, focus on that.
We're asking the mayor to.
It will be the planning director, but,
Okay.
I mean, there could be parts
So
of
don't
that.
give him a headache.
Other agencies are gonna be
Yeah.
involved, they have to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Barbara, this is Tony. Can you read that motion, please?
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tom. To do a study on the feasibility of a comprehensive access plan on both public and private lands. And then it was amended to add the planning director.
To advise, the motion is to have the county advise the mayor on doing a comprehensive study.
GMAC advice the mayor.
Okay, to advise the mayor.
Right.
Hey, Bobby, should we get the
Study to
county
advise-
council?
To advise the mayor on a comprehensive.
You can go ahead
feasibility of
and,
a comprehensive access plan for the,
I would say you could probably, I would advise the mayor, and if it has to, if you need funding, then you can go ahead and advocate for it in front of the council. But you pretty much advise the mayor. Mayor would ask for money from the council, put in the budget, whatever the case may be. Right? Council spends money, but can't say where it gets spent. Administration says where it can spend it, but doesn't have the money to spend it until the council gives it to them.
All I'm trying to do, Bobby, here is think about how this is gonna go. So we send Billy a recommendation saying, hey, we recommend you do a comprehensive public access plan,
Yes,
right? That's gonna cost money.
yes,
He's gotta go to the council to get the cash.
probably, yes.
Probably, maybe.
Yeah, depends on how much it costs,
I'm
right?
wondering if not, if GMAC should actually inform the county council in some way, shape, or form that we've requested of the mayor this comprehensive public access plan. It's a good thing, you should support it, blah, 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 blah. It may cost you money, we want you to vote yes on this.
I don't know how you'd be able to introduce that in front of the council if there's nothing that they're acting on, though. There should be some sort of agenda item for them to actually.
That would do for a quarterly update, Bobby.
Yeah, then you lobby for it at that point.
Okay, all right, good enough.
Can we send a CC, is it,
Sure, that's absolutely
that's
totally
okay?
appropriate, yeah.
Okay. CC to the council.
I'm gonna field one more question from Laurie. Laurie?
Yes.
Oh, Laurie, I'm sorry.
Okay. For the record, my name is Laurie Buchanan, member of the public. I'm just here in a public capacity, but maybe I can just share some information that would help with what your agenda item. So, this is a draft dated April 30th, so hot off the press. This is a draft report that was contracted out to PBR Hawaii by the Office of Planning for the State of Hawaii, to which I am a member of the Advisory Council, the Marine Advisory Coastal Zone Management. Okay. So, in this report in draft form, so it hasn't been finalized yet. It's pretty final though. I think it's almost gonna be out for the public soon. It addresses everything you were discussing tonight, so your motion might be moved. Because besides looking at what the state and county laws are for public access, it also talks about funding mechanisms to acquire public access. It also has a comprehensive access maps per island in the back. So it has Hawaii Island, this is all GIS, and then it's in sections. So it tells you where, tells you what is available now. So it's already a comprehensive study
Is this
of,
shoreline or the
No,
Kuhi
it's-
is too?
this is mostly, I think, shoreline, but it does go into mountain and other access besides trails. It also states the laws, the revised statutes. Just to give you what kind of the table, and it talks about government, preempted rights on military lands, government road public trails, comprehensive inventory, acquisition, talks about different types of acquisition. The existing framework from the state and county levels, talks about indemnification, talks about eminent domain and condemnation. So I think this is like, the, you know,
So
you were
who's the-
talking about Dwayne, why we talking about, so finally, guess what? Office of Planning went throw down money
Yes,
and they did
state-
one.
The
This
state
is
office of
State
Planning.
Office of
Yes.
Planning. However, because Chapter 205A of the Coastal Zone Management Act is trickled down from management and mostly to the county. That's why the county plays an important role in this. And according to this, that they were in on the plan, because it states all the stakeholders and who contributed to this plan. And this is just the plan, this is not even the appendices that come with the plan.
So this,
Lucas and I are on the same advisory council.
Okay.
That's a funding strategy. It's not really a comprehensive public access plan. What it does is it supports doing that on a statewide basis. We were just reviewing that today and submitting some of our comments. The maps she was showing you are from the Shoreline Public Access Geo database that we manage in the planning department. And need to get busy and update a little bit better than it is right now, but that's what that is.
so it's mostly shoreline.
It's
Excuse me, Lauren.
almost exclusively shoreline right now.
I beg
We
your
have a
pardon?
couple of updates that we need to do for the Papakura mountain access. We need to get that one in there, it's not on there right now. But this is primarily identifying funding resources for acquiring and perhaps managing and maintaining or developing public accesses.
Excuse me, Lauren, what was it, name of the document?
Alternative funding mechanism
There
for
you go.
shoreline public access.
And is that a public document that we can?
Not yet.
That's a,
You
is
know,
it a pre-decisional document?
It is right now,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
we're
not a
actually
draft,
doing
right?
a telephone conference to
There's
sort of
22nd.
final talk about this Friday, yeah?
Thursday.
Thursday. But it was, I think, hopefully through our input to that group, that it include funding for doing comprehensive
Okay,
public
I
access
moved this along,
programs.
we have a lot to do tonight. I wanted to ask you, so should our motion be to coordinate with that document or with that plan?
It can be, but it also, since it already documents the existing conditions, what you're really asking for is a proactive future type of acquisition or a plan to identify areas that maybe are not identified now. I mean, that's what I would do. And then but because you're a county advisory commission and your purview is under the mayor, and since there are revised statutes that call for access, mostly Malka, where you are more concerned, you would maybe want to entertain at some point how you can work with the state and the existing mechanism for trail access, because they can also get funding. And he was talking about the mandated but unfunded revised statutes is there. You just, the will to enact it is not there.
So my understanding is that this enables the counties to do a comprehensive plan?
It is intended to identify potential funding sources that would allow for the counties to do public access plans, among other things, like acquiring accesses or developing or improving or maintaining them.
Okay. So our resolution is still okay?
Or motion.
I think so, because we still don't,
Yeah, okay.
That's
this is just providing an alternative source of funding to pay for that program.
That's one component of what you're
Exactly.
asking for.
It's a money source,
Yeah.
Okay.
besides our general fund.
I think that we have the motion and.
It was seconded by Mark.
Thank you very much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to 2014 legislative update, Hunter package and related bills. I'll start off real quick with that, and if anybody has any specific questions.
Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you, Larry.
Oh, they're gonna, yes. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you very much.
Lucas?
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll start off with the Hunter package bills that was put in by Representative Cindy Evans.
Thanks.
HB 1902, HD2, that was the Interstate Wildlife Violators Compact. That bill was mainly towards helping DLNR with some enforcement activities, and what that would have done is prevent out-of-state violators coming to Hawaii, either purchasing a hunting license or hunting here in Hawaii. It passed through the House and referred to the Senate, Water and Land, and it died there. And it seems to be we had a lot of problems in the Senate, bills getting passed the Senate. All our bills went through the House except for Families Afield. Okay, so the next big one was HB 1902, HD2, SD2. It passed through the House and Senate. That was a no net loss that turned into a hunting advisory commission. It inevitably died in House and Senate conference due to a funding issue with that. And there's a lot of talk about that. I know a lot of people are still interested in knowing what happened and all that. And I don't know if this is the area to get into that right now, but I'll field any questions if anybody has any questions with that. Mark, I know you had one.
No, we'll let 1902 sit, Tony.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I know, that's kind of where I'm at.
And just want to say for the record, the Senate asked for a $110,000 commitment from the County of Hawaii, and we were prepared to put that money down.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, it didn't die because of lack of support from the county.
From the mayor.
We understand that.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to
Yeah,
get
no,
clear.
no, yeah.
That's right, thank you.
So we should,
No, I think we should commend the county,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Billy and Bobby and everybody from the county who supported 1902, they've got our backs. It was apparent during this legislative session, so,
Absolutely.
I was just
I
going to say.
mean, no doubt about that. We got some issues elsewhere, but not
We
with
should just
the
express
mayor.
some appreciation.
Absolutely.
On that note, Bobby, do we have any money left?
Oh, you mean what, for your budget?
Yeah.
When did we start? I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly. Was it April?
Yeah.
I'll check, but I'm sure that the mayor will replenish your operating budget.
Well, let me ask you a question, because, on what Mark is talking about.
Can we stay on the legislative package? Is that what we're talking
Yes,
about?
we are.
Yes.
Hang on, Mark.
Let's stay on it.
Yes.
We're not leaving. I have something to add to your comments. Before I forget, you know, McCooley and all those things that happened, you know, 8 years ago or so. Is it appropriate for this commission to publicly thank the mayor and the county itself for that sort of,
I think you just send a letter, I mean, that would probably be
Just a letter?
Yeah, and that would be for the record, right, it would be public record.
you don't believe like an ad in the paper, let them know of appreciation would be?
Yeah. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna skip 1903 because I wanna talk a little bit more about that, I'll get back to that last. HB 1905, HD1, that was family of the field, it went through water and land in the house, and it had trouble in the judicial, and it died, and I think a lot of that was due to the age requirement, and someone in the, that commission in the judicial had a problem with children with guns or whatever it was, so that one didn't make it. HB 1907, that was disabled hunting, disabled hunters for the veterans, or disabled veterans, a hunting license, one-time fee. That passed the House and it sat on the water and land and didn't get past that. And then HB 2633, that wasn't put through the commission here, but I just wanted to mention that a few of us on the side, that was the heritage breed animals, and that's something that I strongly advise this commission to stick with that next year and try to get support for that. What we wanted to do was have the university, CTAR, or whoever, do a study on some of our animal breeds here. And I think that's something that's really needed before all our animals are eradicated. We may have some unique breeds here in Hawaii, of diverse genetics that could be used around the world. And I think that's something I really think we should focus on too. Another way to try to save some of our animals before they kill them all off. Okay, some of the bills that we opposed, HB 1904, that was appropriating, it started off at $2 million for invasive species. We campaigned hard against that and we got that to die in the House, thank goodness, because that, of all the invasive species bills, you have to watch, a lot of them put in specifically far ants, coqui frog, whatever it is. This was a blanket one for education outreach, basically eradication, because they didn't specify what the money was going to be used for. And that's probably why it died also, because it's tight times there at the legislature. HB 2070, that was a watershed initiative program that established a new program under DLNR for staffing. We fought hard on that one too, and we actually opposed that, and they stopped that one. That one was big because they wanted to have a whole covey of DLNR people to work on a watershed initiative, which should have been hiring probably 6 or 7 more people. So Water and Land deferred that in the House, and that was Cindy Evans, Representative Evans. HCR, that's a House concurrent resolution, HCR 98. That one was really strange, and that requested DLNR to work collaboratively with the Department of Agriculture and the Agribusiness Development Corporation to eradicate feral pigs statewide. And it's just a resolution, but you know, from what I've learned from people with experience, that's the foundation for like legislation next year and so forth. Is once they start passing these concurrent resolutions between the House and Senate, that they're seriously looking at ways that they're going to want to eradicate feral pigs statewide. So all of us, thanks to the Hawaii Hunting Association and the Wild Turkey Federations and everybody, poured in a lot of opposition to this, and we got that to die too. So that was a very big one. And then the last one is SCR. That was a Senate concurrent resolution, 143. And you know, this is, I can directly link to HB 1902. This was in total retaliation for what we're doing, because this is something that came up 2/3 of the way through the session, and it was done in the Senate. And what SCR 143 SD1 started off as was to urge the federal government to adopt federal policy to prohibit introduction of non-native species to Hawaii. It passed the Senate, and with pressure that we put on the House and the Water and Land, we got it to die in that committee. When stuff like this passes, this is be the end of everything. As far as this native species, quickly they changed it to SD1, because when I filed in my testimony, I said, hey, and this was through Hawaii Sportsman's Alliance, because we didn't have permission through the commission. So I just want to say, this is the kind of things we've got to keep an eye on. And we don't have time to, these things pop up, and there's no way we have a meeting and we can vote on, hey, we got to do opposition or support for things. So some of us have to take it on our own, and most of the guys in here did. To do non-native species is ridiculous, because that means now if I want to bring in a pig for 4-H or a lamb for 4-H, that's a non-native species. So our legislature is making decisions or in haste or whatever because they're so entangled with the environmental community. And I know the exact senator that put this thing in here. He works
Who
with
was
the
it?
Sierra Club.
Who was it?
It's one of our Puna senators,
Name, please?
Senator Russell Rutherman.
Got it.
So, you know, to me, that's a whole other issue, but we really have to keep track or try to educate and inform these people. Because it started off as non-native species. I mean, it's not even invasive species, it's non-native. That means I couldn't bring in a cow, a pig, a horse. So, you know, stuff like this gets by, you know, and they're just not thinking, so. And then lastly is HB 1700. That was our 750,000, which I don't know what happened to that, and I don't know if any of you guys ever, all that died to. I think it was reduced to 250, and then I didn't hear nothing after that. So that was supposed to be in our comprehensive game management plan monies that they were gonna work on. I think Jordan Trujillo was trying to work on that. Scott Fritz, biologist from Maui.
Tony, my understanding of that is from what Jordan submitted to what actually ended up requesting funding, it got corrupted mightily along the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So wanted
it's
to use it
probably
for
a
animal
good-
control in the watershed. That
Yeah,
was, we broke it
because
down
that was
there.
not initially part of Jordan's proposal,
Yeah.
and it got changed and revised, and I think I'm glad it got killed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me about that. I forgot about control ungulates in the watershed. That was thrown in there. Okay, I'm gonna go back to HB 1903 HD1. That's Outdoor Heritage Month. That was the only thing that ended up passing. I went to the Governor Act 012. And I was asked by Cindy Evans to try to get some support for this. We had it originally scheduled for September, but DLNR wanted us to do it in June. And now that I think about it, it would be probably better off in September because June doesn't give us a whole lot of time to do anything. But I'm working with an outside organization, and what we're gonna try to do is, this is just a quick thing that I do for our meeting for Thursday, is we wanna keep it simple this year, possibly focus on how we can publicize and promote outdoor heritage. Get awareness around the island and to the outer islands. Because the outer islands aren't gonna even know that there was a bill passed about outdoor heritage. I have some people that I talked with already, perhaps we can do some short YouTube videos, they can go that route. We're gonna draft a proposal to the mayor highlighting Outdoor Heritage Month, and try to do a proposal to see if we can get some money that way and what the money would be used for. And then the rest is, we're gonna see if we can work with Roxanne Wolchin from Parks and Recreation. If that would be, that's something I wanted to talk with Bobby about, to discuss what resources and what's available from the county to promote and publicize Outdoor Heritage Month. And then also, I have a couple of guys working on, it's the Big Island RC&D sponsorship, and that's a way to put money through a nonprofit organization, and it's, I think I had it in there somewhere. Let me get to that real quick here. We have the application and everything, and that is the, here's a project proposal application, and we can fill out, and we can go to the mayor. I have to click on the link and stuff. They take nonprofit donations. So that way, if we needed to put the money, I don't know, it's something I have to talk with Bobby or whatever. If we work with the county, if the county gives us some money to do this, can the county would take care of the money, or does the money have to go into a nonprofit to do any type of outreach or education and stuff like that?
I think two other organizations that, the NRA, you go to those fundraisers usually, right, the Friends of NRA, they might be an option to look for a little bit of money there. National Shooting Sports Foundation, also would be a resource to go look into. If you'd like to, I'm a
Sure.
member of that
Yeah.
group.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to look
Yeah.
into that for you if you want.
Yeah, and that would be like for next year where we could actually put on an actual event. We thought this year maybe we just do a promotion to talk about it. Maybe if the mayor could do like a proclamation or something in the radio or newspaper, you know, dedicating June as Outdoor Heritage Month and what it means. And try to get maybe some of the other mayors, just to get all the islands to know what Outdoor Heritage Month is this year, since we don't have a whole lot of time. And then start working towards next year, where we envision doing, you know, having an event, having booths, you know, having food, demonstrations. And some of the guys that I've been working with, they already checked with a lot of the shops around the islands that deal with hunting and fishing, and, you know, we can get donations that way, and they can come and do demos, whether it's casting of lure poles, whatever it can be. Fishing, hunting, it's not just a hunting thing, so this covers everything. You know, all the different, archery, so forth. So, you know, it's just a way to promote all our outdoors and the events and things that we do. So I hope that we can bring some of that through the commission also, and then try to see what we can do, working through for the county side of it that way.
I'll defer to corp counsel on how
Okay.
to handle the money, but there's a way, there's some
Okay.
way to do this.
Can't answer that right now, but I'd be happy to look into it.
Okay,
All right.
all right. Okay, addressing issues related to the Endangered Species Act. Ike, do you want to just cover? Ike sent everyone a nice packet with some information.
Hey, Tony, before we move off number 2, just, I mean,
Sure.
I'm just, an observation from listening to your dialogue there. All the good bills in favor of hunting came from the House.
That's correct,
They died in the Senate,
that's correct.
right? All the bad bills against hunting originated from the Senate and got killed in the House.
Right.
Right, so just,
Nah.
you know, it's a statement of fact. The House has been very helpful to us, the Senate has been very problematic to us. Right? So somehow this group, we need to figure out how to work on our state senators here. And as a hunting community, we gotta figure out how to let people know that, but not for here, or just an observation based on your presentation. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, Ike, would you like to take three?
So, this is Ike. I sent all of you a packet of information that basically were excerpts from various documents, one from Juvic, one from Calix, and one is a document, I think it's a white paper or working paper from what it looks like, I think is a congressional study group. I have to tell you that the congressional study group is basically a partisan group made up of Republicans. So you may want to keep that in mind as you read it. However, I thought that the conclusions that they found were, sort of tracked with at least my experience. I'm wondering if it tracked with yours. And then finally, this thing about the federalization of our land use policies, which impacts directly our game management and all of our resource management activities, I think is clearly pointed out. So we have to keep that in mind. And this brings up something that Steve Aruj talked about, which was the Endangered Species Act and how it impacts our game management programs. I talked to him a little bit further this morning. It will take a lot of work to do what he suggests that we do, and that is to spearhead delisting, or I forget the other term we talked about. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, so I tried to get him to agree to help us do that, and I don't think he's going to do that, but he's willing to sit down and talk with us. He did note that he put together a proposal a few years ago, but that it, you know, this delisting thing works on a timetable, and he was too early with his submission. And I asked him if he had a copy of that. He said no. So it would have really helped us a lot if we did get a copy and we could, you know, I'm willing to sit down and actually do the journeyman work to get it done and to send it in. But if I have to start from scratch, I'm not willing to do that.
Well, you know that delisting is species specific, right?
Yeah, but he noted that you could go to the species that they list, and they put together, I guess he put together a list. So he knows what these species are. And,
Does he know what the numbers are?
Yes, that's exactly right.
well, I don't know. Those are things, those are the specifics that we never got into. And, you know, I fully understand that when you do this, you need data. And I'm wondering about where the data is. So he said there were a few studies done, but I'm not sure. But again, I'm willing to do some of the work, but I can't do all of the work. So, having said that, I have no proposal to make, except that I will continue to follow up on this and keep you guys posted.
I mean, you know, thanks for sending this, because there's a lot of info here that I'm sure we're gonna use, but, you know, even as we left the meeting the last time, I was trying to figure out, I mean, where is Steve planning on going with all of this? Because like you said, this is like reinventing a wheel, and it's specific, it's species specific, and even if you take any of our forests, just as an example, I mean, just take Mauna Kea as an example. Even if you took away the whole equation of the Kalila, there's still 10 other things that is
Yeah.
on this list
In
that
that
is
area.
gonna still make that land be designated as critical habitat. Right? I mean, I
Because it's
don't
it's a landscape.
know where we're going with
Yeah.
this.
So my thinking is that this is a context in which we, you know, if we deal with resource management, this is a context we have to work in. And if you gotta work in this context, you have to be mindful about all of these things. And then given that, you gotta think about, you know, the possible and the impossible.
Right.
For me, impossible just takes a little longer, yeah. But you know, I think it's important for all of us to understand that these acts really have impact on us.
Oh, yeah, no,
And-
like I said, I'm not arguing with anything you have to say.
And
or
I
show,
think
but just
secondarily,
feel what-
if we be more specific about this, the impacts of these acts really impact those of us who are, you know, in terms of socioeconomics, we're not the rich or the super rich, you know? And so, I think at the federal level, there needs to be rethinking of some of these acts, which is what this particular white paper talks about. And so, I'm sending copies of this personally to the congressional team.
I have a comment here.
Huh?
Yeah, this is Tom. For us to go after delisting is a very frivolous and fruitless activity on our behalf here as a commission. But I think one of the areas that we might have some impact is back to that caucus or that working group back there, all those Republicans that you're talking about, and explain to them what's happening here in Hawaii, because they may not be truly apprised of what's going on here. Our legislators here don't care. Guys like Chatz and some of these other people have been working against these issues from the very, very get-go. But when we were at that Ho'olalea, there's that, I forget what it's called, that 2020?
Yeah.
Project down there, 26 acres, of which only 4 are able to be utilized for their project because of the Endangered Species Act. And they're putting ridiculous restrictions on people. So when you talk about socioeconomics, the Endangered Species Act and federalization of what goes on here in Hawaii is something that this commission really does have an interest in pursuing.
Okay. I agree with what's been said. Whether I want to get real partisan about this or not, that's another question.
Well, you brought up Republicans, I just.
Well, yeah. I try to be as open about the information that I
It's
have.
okay, they can be all Democrats.
Mark, do you have anything, Mark?
No, I'm good. I agree with Tom's comments, 100%.
Okay, I just have two short things on this. And that's one thing I tried to, when Steve Arujo was here, is that, and it's what Willie Joe hit upon, is it is now a landscape approach.
Right.
It's not a species specific. So as they said, even though I could delist one species from this area, there's 10 others. And because it's a landscape area, it doesn't do anything. They're still gonna have that same amount of area because they're gonna say the historical range was once in this area and that's it. It doesn't matter. So even if the species recovers in this particular area, you're not gonna take it off the list. And if you do, you still can't have access to that area, so it doesn't, and I think that is the fundamental problem. And that's why I tried to tell Steve, he goes, oh, no, but, I went to that federal meeting with them in 2011, and that's where they said it's a new policy coming down, that they're doing this landscape approach. It's not species specific anymore, even though when you want to delist it, it's species specific.
Yeah, the other thing we have to, you have the federal code, which is the Endangered Species Act, 1973. And then with every code, if you don't know this yet, you will get to know this. There's what they call the Federal Register. And those are the nitty-gritty implementation things that they do.
Yeah.
So, if you get serious about this, you really have to get into that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I have enough life left in me to go chase that down. Some of you younger guys like Tom.
We don't have the resources. Have you seen a critical habitat or endangered species listing for or?
Oh, yeah. And I think one of the things that Callis points out, and it's going on right now, is this thing about critical habitat. That particular code is written so broadly that somebody just has to say, this is a critical habitat, and it's critical.
That's right, but have you noticed that when they do these listings, right, is that if you look at what the threats are to these animals,
It's the habitat.
it's a boilerplate threat.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, it is sheep, goats, deer.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm getting it right.
And that's why,
See, there's no study behind it, that's what we need to be attacking. That's why I think we need to go back to that working group that you, and I was very happy that you proposed that.
that
Produced that.
paper came from him.
Yeah, that's the part I want to read, just so
You brought
everybody,
it to me, so
everybody knows what we're talking about. This was the conclusion from this packet here, just this one paragraph. Current implementation of the Endangered Species Act is focused too much on responding to listed petitions and unattainable statutory deadlines litigation threats, and Endangered Species Act regulatory mandates, rather than on defensible policies, science, or data to recover and delist species. So what it's saying is that it's because of lawsuits by the environmental communities that the Fish and Wildlife Service cannot keep up already. So what they're doing is they're just saying, okay, we're just gonna list this species on here without any real data or science to say that that species needs to be protected.
Right.
But because they're spending so much money and time on litigation that they rather just, okay, we'll just list it. And that is the trend that's happening, and it's getting out of control, and I think that's what this congressional thing was attempting to do. So, I mean, if we can get our congressional people up to speed and start looking and saying, oh yeah, hey, you know, it's the Fish and Wildlife, we talk about Fish and Wildlife being bad and all that, but they're getting handcuffed and dragged through the sand, you know, and it's by environmental
But
organizations.
You know, and I'm not talking revolution here, but to change the minds of the congressional team, it might be easier to elect somebody else into those positions. I didn't really
Probably
say
there's
that.
nobody.
Yeah, I just want to make one clarification. There is science involved, science backing up the listings of the critical habitat. What Fish and Wildlife does, though, is they use the environmental documents prepared by the developers against it. They don't have the money to go out and do these studies, right? They know that there is a range where such and such plant or whatever existed. And so they'll go ahead and they'll use the developers 343 document, the EIS, the EA, use that information and say, well, you said it was there, so now we're going to designate it critical habitat. I've gone through 6 months of mediation with Fish and Wildlife, and learned a lot about it. And you should have someone from Fish and Wildlife come in and talk to you about it, because you won't like what you hear. And if you'd like to, I could find someone who might be able to come in and educate you on the whole critical habitat issue. I think it would be a very good thing for you guys to hear.
Mr. Hurt.
Now,
Far away.
Steve, from years past, dealing with Fish and Wildlife Service and GMAC and other meetings where there's people from, we'll call it the outdoors community and the environmental community, and people that are with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife are telling members of the Nature Conservancy and the Sierra Club, please, and I quote unquote, please sue us so that we can do our job, quote unquote. I heard this not once, not twice, but by multitudes.
It's called sue and settle.
This is no less than 12 years ago, and it's been ongoing, know that.
That's why the critical habitat's being designated in Kona. The Center for Biological Diversity sued the U.S. Fish and Wildlife
Exactly.
Service.
Sue us. We'll give you the money to do more studies so you can sue us again, and we can just keep this thing going.
The state does that too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Everybody done? All right, unfinished business. Okay, I guess I'll call for an executive meeting. Somebody want to make a motion? Although I heard that we don't have to, but since it's on there already. So we'll make a motion and pick a date for next month.
We have a suggested date.
And what issue are you, what's the exact issue that you're, actually, I'll defer to the Corp Counsel.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
I'll read what I have here first and say from there. It said, I'll call for an executive meeting to be set forth for the month of June. HRS Chapter 92-4, executive meetings to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities. And this is in part due to the 1978 Constitutional Convention and whether game animals was removed but was never ratified from the Constitution as a natural resource of the state. Okay. That's the only time we can talk privately about this.
And whether or not we want to move on that?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'll
Like that.
I read the transcript from the April meeting, and I have an understanding of the issue that developed there. We had a change in our office that you're aware of. Lincoln's no longer with the counties in private practice, so I need to confirm who your lawyer will be, but it will definitely be the corporation counsel. So my purpose today was to appear today.
Oh, okay.
But I can't say for sure if I'll be assigned as the attorney to represent you guys, or to provide legal advice. So
If we came up with a date or.
if you give me a date, I can run that past my supervisors, the administration, and hopefully confirm.
Well, I have a, I don't know if it's a motion that we need to make here, but if, whatever date they would have available around what we were talking about, we should just accept it.
Sure. Okay, so we don't pick a
Without
date?
getting into another meeting to say, can we do this, or?
Yeah.
Subject to call of the chair.
Chair.
We can do that, right? But we need to vote on it, right? So I second the motion.
Okay, well, yep.
I'm in favor.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay, so wait, how are we gonna find out about when we can do this in June?
If you give me a date, I can communicate back to you.
Yeah, let's pick a few dates. For June,
Third week of June.
yeah, that would
Third Monday,
be
right? 18th or?
23rd, 16th, or 23rd?
Well,
Either next meeting date at
before our next meeting.
21st.
What's that?
We should try to do it before our next meeting.
Yeah, we could do the executive session and have a regular meeting the week after or something, right? So, yeah, is that something you guys wanna do, or it's up?
Yeah, check with Mark.
Mark, how's your schedule?
You know, I'd vote for just executive session and the meeting on the same day.
That's cool.
Okay, so we could do the executive session first, end that, and then we can start our public meeting.
Yeah, I can't imagine executive session is gonna take more than about half an hour. If we started at 6, we could end normal. I don't know how everybody is work schedules.
So,
Half hour, 45 minutes.
let me ask a question that might be pertinent here is, would it be okay to do executive session with someone on telecom?
I think for privacy concerns and, it's a attorney-client relationship. I don't know if that's proper, but I can check.
I'll drive. No
Okay.
big deal. I'll come over.
Okay,
Okay.
it probably would be a good idea.
I know Ike is worried about the NSA just like me.
You guys would be able to make it at 5:30?
Speak directly into the bento here.
I can make it on a Tuesday if you want instead.
No,
Is it
well,
oh, bring me off day?
My name is Willie Joe.
I'm off then, we got company.
Oh, okay.
Right, let me ask,
The week of the 23rd.
before you say anything, Willie Joe, let me ask one more thing. If we have 5 people at that meeting, they cannot go into executive session, right? They need 6 people. They can't move now to go into executive session next meeting, right?
I believe you need, okay, the quorum requirements, I believe.
It's 5,
I think
but I
it's-
think you need a supermajority, right,
I believe it's two-thirds.
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 Two-thirds of active members or two-thirds of, we only have 7
Of
members.
9, of 9, has to be 9.
So that means,
It's a majority of the whole, not a majority of the,
but if we have only 5 members, then we could never have an executive session.
Exactly, yes.
But we have 7.
And I'm a layman here, but I'll defer to him, but I believe that to be true.
Well, everybody's here tonight.
Yeah, so I wanted everybody to
But
come.
that's it.
Everybody here tonight.
Also, on the executive
I'm
session
asking-
too, we wanted to talk about the county charter. That was another thing
If
too.
you, I'm asking if you can go into executive session with
You want
only 5 people present at that particular meeting.
Oh,
No, we'll have 6.
We have to have 6 at that meeting.
yeah, if we're gonna do one, we all gotta come.
It's just a matter of the time, trying to make it convenient for everybody. It's gonna be hard for you and Willie Joe. Mark is pretty
I
available
just
on
want,
Mondays.
I just want you guys to waste your
What
time.
Yeah,
about
I'm
the week
available on
before, the
Mondays.
9th? Who's doing?
Is Monday the 9th? Yeah, I got guests till the 5th myself, and then after that, I'm
Maybe
okay.
you should go Kaulu.
It's fine with me.
For 2 weeks only.
Oh, no.
Okay,
We'll leave.
What day, guys? Is the 9th too soon? I mean, that's only like 3 weeks away.
3 weeks away.
2 weeks away.
It depends on court council.
If you give me dates, I can,
Just try the 9th.
Okay, we'll try the 9th, June 9th.
First choice, 23rd, second choice.
Yeah. Next one would be 23rd.
The 14th or the 16th is definitely.
So either the 9th or the 23rd.
23rd I can.
And then we'll need to know, if we're gonna have the regular meeting, I gotta know at least 10 days before that. Or you guys, maybe you're gonna have to know.
Do we need to have a regular meeting?
You do? Also, we're all together, so.
Oh, we're gonna have one on the same day.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
yeah,
have a short one,
Yeah,
that we can
definitely.
recap and whatever other. Yeah, Paul? You good? Yeah, you good? You're trying.
Gotta be there 6.
Okay? Is that good for now?
We're good for now.
Okay. Next one is just quick, because we're running out of time, yeah, guys. It's just a small discussion here on the use of snares in Hawaii County and what can be done to bring awareness to our county council. I got a lot of the pig hunters keep asking about this issue and if we can do something about it. And I think part of it is just try to get something on the county level, get our county council to recognize it, and then maybe possibly be able to have something to stand on if we try to push this towards a state issue or something.
Are snares legal?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I think you
It's
run
not a legal hunting method for us.
Private property.
But then you run into whose jurisdiction.
I think it says in the 40 rights statutes, you can use it.
And it's not so much banning it, it's having to have them check it every 24 hours. Because if you go with any trapping lines in the mainland and all that kind of stuff, it's depending on the type you use, it's 24 or 48 hours for a cage. If it's a snare or a trap, it's a 24-hour.
You can't make anything more illegal than it already is, so that's what I'm saying, right? If it's illegal, it's illegal. I'm just wondering what is, does anyone know whether they are legal or not?
No, snares, we've gone through snaring issues in Hawaii many times, actually. And what we have been trying to do is to get like Lara's program, for example, because they use thousands of snares, up there at the federal facility that they have up here at thousands upon thousands of snares that they have, 3,000 or 4,000 of them, Umakala and all these places.
So they are legal then?
Well, the state's
Yeah,
been using
that's
them.
hard, yeah,
We
illegal.
wouldn't be using them if it was illegal.
Yeah,
But they should
it's
have-
just, that's why we said, if there was something that, okay, fine, you're gonna use them, check them. Because if
Right.
they're gonna be putting 1,000 snares in that place, and you gotta check it every 24 hours, they're gonna think twice about putting snares in.
Yeah, and they don't have a policy. I checked in on that, and there is no known policy for checking snares.
So you can ensnare an animal and have it
They,
rot away in it. And that's
this is, I checked with NARS, and they initially, they'll check the snares once a week or whatever it is,
No,
often is what they say, often, whether it's a week
Okay,
or,
no,
but then as the numbers kind of go down, they're just out there.
Right, so the next question is, do you have something against snares? What I'm saying is that this is a double-edged sword that you're looking at right now. And
Because I know guys who just hunt with snares. Not dogs, not guns,
bringing,
and you shoot
Yeah, but
up
they check them
and-
for
and-
eat, they're
yeah.
not just putting snares.
Oh, no, they just sell them, and it's just like
It's not
setting
hunting,
crab nets.
but they gotta check it, right?
They set 30 with small little bells, and they just keep checking them until they hit up bells. and then they
That's
come
the
up.
problem that I have, if they check them, fine,
But that's the whole thing.
but if you're not gonna check it,
We
then
need
don't
to
do it, because
have,
they're using it, that's cruel,
there needs to be-
inhumane, this is the 21st century.
Standards,
You
yeah.
can be snaring these animals like they're roaches.
So, talk about county ordinance.
I don't know, I mean, even if it's just awareness.
and that's the reason I say it's a double-edged sword, how far is that going?
Well, I got the pig hunter guys that are willing to go all the way. Because I asked them this, I said, we're not gonna go do something, and I said, you guys, and
Make
I
it
said, what
total.
about the other hunters and
No,
all? So we
but-
had guys like Joel Griffin, guys that says, well, come see him then. if
Going all the
anybody's got a
way
problem.
is making it illegal, period, no snares.
Requiring that you check your snare.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's,
That's what other
that's why I'm
states-
saying,
yeah,
I'm
other
just
states
saying
have
that you're tapping on a hornet's nest right there. I'm not
Yeah.
advocating either way, I'm just saying that it could go even.
Donovan De La
further.
Cruz put in legislation last year to ban snares on a whopper.
Right,
But it didn't move forward because nobody, if we were organized, we could have jumped on that and we could have helped push that through legislation.
Okay, so do we need to make a motion to put this on the
I would
agenda
say,
next time so we can
more
discuss
than be
it?
traps and stuff, but
Since you're running out of time.
Well, it's been on, yeah,
Totally.
yeah, probably just keep
Or
going.
like, put it on.
We need to redefine this eventually and get to a
Yeah.
point if we're gonna take any action, to actually do something about
Fighting
this.
them over there, but nobody came in.
I don't know what level either, I don't know guys.
I mean,
I know that if they had to check it every 24 hours, that would be something humane and reasonable and.
We should look at.
we see that it's like the cross net, they register across net, then they gotta check them up, call it, you gotta
That's
leave them
public
over.
land.
so I would suggest that if you are gonna make a motion, that you make a very specific motion, like you were saying. 24, check every 24, whatever the case may be.
You guys wanna think about this more?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll make a motion on it, we'll just leave it for discussion and.
Maybe next agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Tony? it's
Yes,
Mark.
Mark?
Just to help me out, if we're gonna have a discussion on it next time, can someone, and I can be the guy, but what is the law on snares? Do we
No
know?
snares on public land.
What was that, Tom?
No snares on public land.
No snares on public land.
Is that,
Zero.
is that in the HRS? Is it in the HRS?
Well, is that true, Laura? Because how did they get away with
It's
using it
not
in
true,
ours?
because the NARS is public lands and they use this.
Yeah. Where did Joe call, hang on, Mark.
It's in this thing.
What was that, Laura?
They use snares on public lands.
Yeah, I
Not
know.
during public hunting here, no,
But-
not.
Dangerous.
We, the public,
During a public hunting
cannot
season,
use
you
it
cannot.
as a legal hunting method,
On
is
public
what I'm
land.
saying.
Yeah.
A hunter, a licensed hunter, cannot go on public land and set snares. That is illegal.
Yeah.
It's in here.
Okay.
Where it is, I gotta find it.
No.
Okay, well, that's, I think he's asking more, right, Mark? So for you and I as a hunter, we can't do one on public land. But an agency, DLNR or whatever, they can
That
Put it
land
in
is not open for hunting.
NARS areas.
They do air shooting.
Are we sure about that?
Yes.
Yeah. It's in.
So that's the way the statute's written. So DLNR can snare and a public hunter can't.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my
That's-
beef with this whole thing.
Apparently, yes.
Apparently.
I
We
don't
should-
know myself, so,
Yeah. So all I'm suggesting, Tony,
yes.
somebody who's a pig hunter, Kalani, Willie Joe, somebody should know really what the statutes say. If we're gonna have a discussion next time, we gotta know what the law is.
No, Mark, the law says that if it's open for public hunting, you cannot use a snare, period.
Or poison.
Well, are NARS areas open for public
They
hunting on
no,
occasion?
they do not use snares in the areas that are open for public hunting.
Okay.
But ours is
It's
listed
not
as,
open, it's not open for public hunting when they use snare.
Once they put the snare.
So it can be public land and they can snare. It's only if it's open for public hunting.
Correct, Mark.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Got
is that right, Laura?
I don't know about the Big
Because
Island or
suppressors-
Maui County.
it. Suppressors are illegal in this state, yet DLNR owns and uses suppressors.
You can get
So
special
cows.
permits. You can get permits,
Kill anything.
but not for
So
the general
you-
public.
Not for the general public.
Correct,
So they can do it, but we can't.
correct.
Yeah.
Certain government agencies.
No,
can
we
get
should
permission.
pass a law that says, if they do it, we can do it.
Goose and gander.
The Goosey Gander law.
There you go. I like it.
You know what the police can do in Honolulu, right?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Maybe you're right, I don't know what happened to that.
Okay, I wanna get to another issue with Lori here too. So if we
Okay.
can move on.
Okay, I'm done, okay, you have one more?
All right, that's a good title for a bill. Goose and gander.
Okay, number 3, elect our new chair and vice chair. Guys all ready? Okay, we nominated Tom Lodge, all in favor, I guess, we have to vote on it, or we just,
I would think you have to do that, yeah.
okay, all in favor of Tom Lodge as chair?
I,
Aye. How many ayes was that?
How many nays are there?
Tom can vote as well.
Ask for names.
Ask for names, no nays, okay.
Unanimous.
Ayes have it, vice chair, Willie Joe,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? None, ayes have it.
Congratulations, guys.
New business.
Condolences.
Okay, my turn?
Yeah, just a future date on that meeting thing, we'll get that squared away.
I have one question for Lori. Well, I have 2 things for new business, actually. You're familiar with the Ahumoku issues going on, the banning of fishing for 10 years?
Somewhat, yes.
That apparently is becoming a pretty heated issue right now. So I wasn't sure, how extensive that really was, but if that is actually something that's on the table, then, is it Ahumoku?
Aha.
They want to do a presentation to the commission when we're in Kona, in our next Kona meeting. So, are you guys in favor of looking into that issue?
Tom, can you state the issue once more? Sorry, I didn't get it.
That moratorium on fishing on the Kona coast, it's an extensive area of, I'm not exactly sure of where it goes from like Puako around past Kona, Kevo.
That passed? That's.
I don't know, I just was called on that the other day. But it's an issue that I think is serious enough because, again, we talk about science. Nobody is coming up and saying that there's actual science that says that they need to ban fishing altogether. So I think it's something we should learn a little bit more about.
I agree.
Okay, so I make a motion that we bring this up to our next scheduled agenda for our next Kona meeting, so we can have that kind of do a presentation. Oh, I can't do it. Anybody wish to make a motion on that?
You want someone to come give a presentation?
Yes, I do, and,
For the Ahumoku?
yes. And also from the agencies that are involved, I think DAR is involved in that.
Well, that's part of what I tried last time, and that's what I want to do under new business also, is we never had
We'll put the 2 together.
the goal come yet. They
Right.
ended up canceling out, and they're supposed to talk about that habitat blueprint plan for West Hawaii, which is part of what you're doing all that Puko and all that. And they bailed out, that Malia, or Miley Chow, bailed out at the last minute, because she couldn't bring the other people and blah, blah, and so that's something we should reschedule on the back too. That kind of encompasses the
All
whole
right,
thing.
well, does somebody want to move to combine those 2 efforts and those individuals from
Okay,
those
I'll make a
organizations?
motion to invite someone from the Ahumoku Council and NOAA to brief us.
Is that what you want? Next corner?
That's where the issue is in Kona. I think that's the appropriate
So
base
we
for us.
will go over there and meet in Kona? Okay, well, to brief us, maybe finish the motion, to brief us on any moratorium that they have on shoreline fishing or
Whose moratorium is this?
the shoreline, or even in the water.
Whose moratorium is it?
I believe, I forgot the name of that organization, but it's, DAR is a part of it, DLNR I think is a part of it. There's some environmental groups that have pushed it, Nature Conservancy is pushing it, to have this moratorium,
And Ahumoku is speaking out against it?
yes. I kind of, just from what little I know.
Yes,
go on.
Larry?
Just
Oh,
one caveat about the ahamoku. Make sure you go through the state ahamoku executive person, which is Leimana Demate. You know, they're from Kau. She's the state executive director of the ahamoku. The one that is under chapter 192 was 182 under the state. So they're the legal ahamoku, and I should make you guys aware that there is a move by Westpac to form their own ahamoku councils.
See, and that's why, and you know, truthfully, it's not a believe in that one.
Well, there
Because
is an
it's like the
ahamoku council.
one here, one here, one here, one here. That's why I just so confused.
But
Yes,
that's-
she's from
yeah.
Kau, and yes, she's out to get a hold of.
Leimana Demate. I
I
have
can
her
get it to
email,
you,
I
yeah.
can
Yeah, they're
email
forming an
you.
east-west ahamoku
I know
here, and they
All
all, yeah,
over the place.
yeah.
Well, you,
Knows on that.
but just be cautious because it is a move by Westpac because they're mandated through a lawsuit from the federal government to have inputs of tribes, tribal Pacific
Only
Islanders.
because that whole wording is recognized.
Leimana,
Demate.
Damante.
Leimate.
I can give
No,
her
I
contact.
didn't even know I
I'll send her
right,
contact to Tony because I have
only
Tony's
because that is
email.
that whole name is recognized, now everybody wants to grab it.
Well, they want to overthrow, from what I heard. They want to overthrow her
Okay.
there because they
Well,
say that they're not
the
doing their
thing
job.
That name holds merit. But what the beliefs and what it's supposed to have done to it, from Mocha to Makai,
about
it didn't happen.
or offshore fishing? Like,
The ahamoku,
yeah.
it's all natural resource management
Like
from
that.
an indigenous perspective.
We got
And
one
it's
more
only-
minute
and
here.
it's recognized.
One other thing that I would like to bring forward, both here and in our next Kona meeting, is a presentation by On Target. So, and that is on the gun range over there, to get their side of the story out, because we haven't been hearing it.
What are we talking about now?
Put it on the next agenda, or
I haven't heard any story, actually. I said I haven't heard any stories.
They put things in the paper and.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had our 2-hour meeting, I moved that we adjourned, or Tony moved that we adjourned.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Billy Joe, move.
All in favor?
Ike, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, thanks, Mark.
Thanks.
I'm gonna join you the next time, I'm gonna make Tony in charge of the key here.
Thank you.
This meeting.
Can you join us for a while?